I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome to the after show for the Teddy Riley versus Babyface rematch, the epic music battle that took place. I am your host, Tyson, and I am joined by these amazing panelists here. I got Elgin, and I also have my girl, Ebone. What's up, y'all? How are y'all?
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
So on this show, of course, we're going to break down this epic battle that took place and actually made history tonight on Instagram. But first, I want to get your overall thoughts of this battle. Ebone, what did you think?
I definitely thought it was epic. We are definitely making history. We have the legends in the house, deciding to even do a battle of like what songs, are the best, the ones I produced, the ones that I did the best. So I thought that was great. And then also just the celebrity interaction. I think that's what actually made it even more fun.
Absolutely. What about you, Elgin?
I was just blessed and honored for them to even come on an Instagram Live, because who even does that nowadays? But you know what? They came through on the quarantine and did what they had to do. So I was happy. But I was here for the mess as well. So that's just
let me tell you. First of all, y'all both just said everything that I was thinking. Like, one, I was thankful to be just among the people to sit here and witness history in the making. And then, like you said, rubbing elbows with like Tamar and Tony and Snoop Dogg and Pharrell. Like, it was just epic. So let's get into just some of the fun takeaways from the night. What funny, shady comments did you guys happen upon while y'all were sitting there watching this epic story? Did you see anything that caught your eye, Elgin?
I wish Tyrese would have said another comment again, just slip up just one more time. But I'm satisfied with throwing in the tile. But
yeah, that's going down in infamy right there. That will forever live on.
Yeah, I love the Tony Braxton comments and the Tamars. I felt like I was sitting right next to them at the party, joking around and everything. So it was kind of cool.
Yeah. Ebone, who are you looking at? Anybody catch your eye in there? Any of the celebs?
Yeah, honestly, it was a whole bunch of people. I know like Seven Streeter was in there. She was saying like, oh, this is my jam, or oh, like get me on the live. Like she was really hyped about it. And then when we were starting to have a little technical difficulties, we were having, a lot of people were like, he's done, like Teddy Riley, he's over, like it's done, Babyface, you won already. Like even Tamar jumped in and was like, Babyface, you got this anyway, like, don't even worry about it type thing. So I thought that was hilarious. Like, people were out here picking sides. It got serious.
Oh yeah, listen, so there were over 500,000 people that attended this epic battle. So on the stream, you guys know, I'm sure all of us have gone live at one point. There's the number that's like constantly right there in your face, and sometimes it'll flatten out and just stay at one number. And then when you log off, that number's like much higher. Like it might say like, 100 people. Then when you log off, it's like 500 people that were kind of like in and out. And so there were 500,000 people there at one time, which meant that bounce back was probably somewhere like in the millions. And the record for the IG Live originally was held by Drake and Tory Lanez when they went live not too long ago. And they had 300,000. So what do you think this means? Like, thinking that this is R&B music, it's not hip hop, it's not pop, it's not anything that's really, I hate to say it like this, that's on the charts right now this second. Like, this is like 80s, 90s, early 2000s R&B. Like, what do you think this means? What does it say that 500,000 plus people are like coming together in one spot to take it all in? What do you think, Ebone?
Yeah, well, I would have to say that I think one, we all like nostalgia. Like we love the new music, the new hip hop, the new rap, the hottest whatever with all these new rappers that are coming out. But at the same time, the things that we have attachment to are things that we have memories to, right? Like people were like, oh, this took me back to high school, or this took me back to college, or I remember we went to this party and it was blah, blah, blah. So we all like to recall a wonderful memory in our lives. And a lot of those songs hold that attachment. So I think that's what made it even more special, because it just brings back those memories. Like you start feeling a certain type of way, maybe you and your man, your little boo thing back in the day. Like you just start thinking about a whole bunch of other stuff. As people were like, oh, they got me pregnant right now. Like there was a whole lot of comments sounding off in the
section. Oh yeah, listen, they were throwing them jams. Then they went into like the slow jam mix. They were throwing them jams out left and right. someone else kind of said that the matchup between Babyface and Teddy Riley kind of looked like, especially considering we're all in quarantine, a lot of us feel isolated right now. It kind of felt like the single life playlist, which was Teddy Riley, because he was always at the club, and the lovers, the people that are in love in quarantine, and that's where Babyface was. What did you think, Elgin? What did you think of the music overall?
Well, I'm an R&B baby.
Okay.
So
Same.
it's nice to know that R&B is still out here taking over and still being the alpha of all the other music genres. So I love that. And I think it was like that nostalgia factor. I mean, I grew up in the 2000s, like, because born in 97, I was like, what, 5, 6, around that time. But still being able to listen to that music growing up and hearing it now, I think it was pretty cool. So I'm happy that people still like R&B and still like that old R&B, because I feel like people now think R&B, like in today's age, is just what it is now, and they kind of separate that from back then. But I feel like people do need to give credit and precedence to the music that was curated back then to now. So I'm happy that people are really liking R&B from back then.
Yeah, absolutely. And oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, even just to piggyback off of what Elgin was saying, I just listened to his comments. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm starting to feel like my mom. Just because I know, like, when I have kids, it's going to be one of those things where like, oh my gosh, this song, Janet Jackson, whatever. They're going to be like, Mom, like, this is so old, like how I do my mom now, And so, but it's funny because I feel like we are that middle generation between the people who did it first and the people who are like changing it to do something different with it. So like we're right in the center of that transition. And so we are going to be exactly like our parents, when we have kids eventually, that, we'll be like, this is the jam,
Exactly.
Like, who is her?
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. They're going to be like, her, what is she about? Yeah. So I totally agree with everything that y'all just said. And even with the nostalgia of it, as I keep saying, this is all happening while we're in quarantine. A lot of us weren't able to go back home to see our families because we didn't want to possibly infect them or whatever the case may be. So it's like, this is that moment. And since everybody was in here, I know I was on like 4 FaceTimes at one time with like my family back home in Florida, and we were all just like jamming. And then Babyface breaks out into live performance mode. He pulls out his acoustic guitar while Teddy is trying to get some stuff together, and it just adds another layer to how great this whole event was. Because how many artists of today, and this is no knock, because I love my Summer Walker and all these other people that are out here, but how many people do you genuinely see just out of the blue? Oh, we're wasting time. Let me grab my guitar and just entertain you and sound just like the record. Like,
right.
Like this just does not happen. So
it was just people can do that.
Yeah, it was as you said earlier, it's just so great to be a part of this history making moment and even watch something like that. Would you, if in my mind, so I even mentioned it kind of feels like a modern day Woodstock because of how many people were together. And with Woodstock, I believe that was the late 60s. That was people not necessarily rebelling and causing a big ruckus, but they were coming together and they did it through music and love. And it was just a moment to be peaceful and happy. And so to me, it kind of feels like, this is a modern day virtual Woodstock. We have a whole global pandemic happening. People are genuinely losing their family members and everything. But in this moment for 2 hours, common people come together and show love and laughter and just enjoy the moment. So what will you forever remember about this moment, Ebone?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you said it all right there. I think the fact that you're going to remember this, A, because we're in quarantine, B,
right.
It's 2020. I think a lot of us had like these different expectations on how we were going to spend our 2020. And right now we're living through history. And so everything that we do in this moment at this quarantine time is going to make history because nothing like this has ever been done before. We have more people going on live, more virtual seminars, more virtual concerts. And so this is becoming like, I guess they keep calling it like the new normal. But I feel like when we do finally get back to regular life, like this is going to change because why do we have to go places when we could just use our computer? We have the technology. We can all sit here, have popcorn and watch a concert. Like we don't have to go anywhere necessarily, So I think that's what we're going to just start remembering is like how history, like groundbreaking this whole moment is, one, and two, with that specific live, just how many people came together. I mean, it was wonderful. And then just to even throw another shady comment in there, I just thought about this. Ludacris was like, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna personally pay for security for both of their studios. And I was like, right, okay, they got the whole Grammys. Babyface got the Grammys in the background and the whole flower situation. I'm sure his house looks like a whole romantic movie.
Listen, it's a whole museum. It's a
his
whole
wife
museum.
probably, okay, let me find out.
Yeah, they got that coinage. Absolutely, they got that coinage. So also, so I don't know why I kind of drew a blank a little bit, but one thing that also kind of popped into my head as I was just kind of soaking up this whole quarantine experience, somebody mentioned a tour. And just like Ebone just said, how do we know that we're even going to go back to, what normal used to be? But would y'all be here for a tour? I mean, obviously 1 million people have showed up to this. And there's a little speculation, I'm gonna throw this out there too. There's a little speculation that Instagram intentionally cut this off because, that's 1 million eyes watching one screen. That's an advertiser's dream. And the person that's left out of this equation, because Timbaland and Swiss Beats puts this together. I'm sure they had sponsors, but the one thing that was left out of this and making money was Instagram. So do you think that it was intentional that Instagram dropped their screen? What do you think, Elgin?
Well, they said we ain't making no money. Cut off the switch.
Stop. Y'all had an hour. Y'all had an hour and a half.
That's all y'all need. Yeah. I don't think. Well, who knows? They might have. They might have not. But I probably would think all the people that was like concentrated in one spot with those two people might have crashed it. But at the same time, Drake and Tory Lanez had a live, and it was going smooth. So. Yeah. I don't know. It could be, some people getting mad they didn't get a slice of that coin. I don't know.
Exactly.
Well, you guys, I think that I think we just found our new business model right now. I think we all need to get together and come up with a platform so people can do live concerts from their house. Okay, so Elgin, Tyler, I'm gonna call you guys after this.
We on it.
We okay,
on
this is it. We just figured out we about to be right.
Right. I'm about to get You're on it. Well, I really, just in closing, I definitely, and I'll let y'all also give your closing remarks to the audience. Actually, Ebone, you go first with closing remarks. Ladies first.
Okay, so sweet of you. Yeah, no, honestly, I love this. I think this was wonderful. There are so many, even like DJ Nice, right? Like he did a whole DJ set on Instagram Live, and I think he kind of he set the standard. And so he was really the first person to be like, yeah, I'm gonna just play the music. And I think that kind of got people's heads sparking with different ideas. And so this was a really cool idea. There's a lot of other verses going on or talks of, Ja Rule and 50 Cent, whatever. I know there's drama with that. Ja Rule doesn't sound like he's into it, but you never know.
I'm here for that.
Right.
He's too busy paying off that festival. So
I'm done with you. He came for all the mess. That's what we can expect from Elgin. He came with all the mess. Okay. But I love that this is history, groundbreaking. So happy to be a part of it. Something we could tell people years down the line. We could all, we're all gonna have this bonded moment forever. So this is, it's real cool.
Yeah. Elgin, what about you, man?
That was a dope response, Ebone. I don't even know how to follow up behind.
Didn't she kind of take your breath away? Because I had something in my mind, and now I'm like, well, what was I gonna say?
Like it was all holistically summarized and everything. I think one amazing thing that came out of this, it just goes to show how everybody can adapt, but it just goes to show you how African American people can adapt to multiple situations, such as being stuck in a house. I mean, we come up with a lot of stuff. We bored, we gonna make something up. So I think it was cool that these two figures specifically really just hyped themselves. Like they marketed both themselves really good for this event, and it paid off in a really good way. And I feel like they kind of started something that's really going to be impactful and set a precedent for what's going to come after this when we're all allowed to go outside next year, breathe some air. So I think that's really cool. I feel like things are going to change after this, and I feel like that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's going to be a really good thing moving forward, and I'm glad that they curated this little event. And I can't wait for even more of these to come out of the quarantine.
Absolutely, man. That was well said also. And I have my notes, but I sometimes just rattle off the top of the dome. And before I give my closing remarks, one last thing I got to get y'all to respond on. So Babyface, while doing his set, he would always give these anecdotes, these stories, these messages behind the music. And as he was doing that, he mentioned the time that he had a conversation with Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson was talking about how he was like hanging out with Madonna. I don't know if they were quite dating, but Madonna was trying to dress him up like a woman, and he had an issue with that. So we got that little nugget. He also talked about how Michael Jackson asked Babyface to get Halle Berry's number because Michael Jackson wanted to shoot his shot at Halle. And so Babyface did what he had to do and made that happen. And yeah, so I mean, just like little things like that. Like those are just stories I feel like we're not ever gonna get. So when Ebone was saying, Luda mentioned, we need to put security around their homes. Like, yeah, these truly are legends. How did you feel about hearing those stories before I give my closing remarks? What did y'all think about that, Ebone?
Yeah, real quick, I think that's amazing. This is the thing, right? When I watch like Unsung or any of these other behind the scenes type stories, I always find it amazing. I'm always amazed because there's so many different things that you don't know, things that are going on behind the scenes, record deals, X, Y, and Z. To hear personal stories, it's almost crazy. It's kind of like us doing this right now. And then in like 10 years, it's like, oh my gosh, like, oh, I knew this person, we did this, and we were on this show together. And in that time period of Babyface and Michael Jackson and Halle Berry and Madonna, right? They were all still very like young producers, artists, still trying to make it, still, building their repertoire, right? So to now have that, it sounds legendary. Like, oh my God, you were in the room with Madonna, you were in the room with Michael Jackson. It feels legendary to us. To them, it's like, this was regular. Like we were all just on the grind.
Just
you know what
chilling,
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just chilling. So I love to hear those stories because it is, it brings you closer and gives you more perspective on really what the situation is.
Yeah, absolutely. Elgin, you have anything to add to that?
I mean, it may be normal life to them, but I got my $20.99 right on iTunes for that book and that biography. So I'm ready.
Absolutely. Listen, this was like a whole biopic unfolding before us, an unscripted, raw. I mean, and I feel like for an audience that loves R&B music, anytime you give unrehearsed, unscripted, and raw, those ingredients mixed in, it's going to be an epic night. And I think that this moment will be one that lives on for the history books, not just because of the numbers, but because of what it actually symbolized, which is exactly what Elgin said a few minutes ago. You have these Black people of different generations coming together, and not just all Black, but just lovers of Black culture. Because if you love R&B music on any level, then you love Black culture. And so you have these people coming together for a common love, which is R&B music, and just celebrating everything about it. And this wasn't, and not to, as I said before, I love hip hop, but this wasn't a vulgar situation. This wasn't a shoot 'em up, gang bang situation, anything. It wasn't. This is classic, just love, joy, heartbreak, sure, but just love and joy and laughter. This was just one of those moments that will go down in history, and I'm beyond grateful to have just been able to sit here and watch it and even sit here and talk about it with y'all. So once again, congratulations to Versus, which is Swiss Beats and Timbaland, who put that whole thing together. Congratulations to Babyface and Teddy Riley. And just, man, I can't wait for what's next. This quarantine is not, if you actually just stay in the house and turn on your phones, it's actually not that bad. So anyway, Ebone, tell the people where they can find you on social media.
Yes, of course. You can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at Ebone Chatman 12.
Elgin?
You guys can find me on Instagram at Elgin_22 and on Twitter at Elgin_B22.
And of course, you can follow AfterBuzz on Instagram at AfterBuzz TV. And of course, you can follow me on all social media at the Tyler Tyson. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Until next time, peace.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.